Hello everybody, I'm Ninjo X the Enlightened Gamer. What you're about to watch is a fictional dramatization of a game that does not actually exist. Any celebrities that appear throughout this video are parodied badly. I do not own the rights to their likeness, nor am I using it with their permission. Enjoy! Miyamoto-san?
ようこそ。
Tsuda-san?
ご来場ありがとうございました。
Thank you both for having me. It's quite an honor to finally meet you both.
私はあなたが多少のアイデアの男の聞いたことがあります。だから、私たちと一緒にあなたのアイデアを共有してください。
Many of your children, your creations, are viewed by the public at large as only having value in the past.
新しいものも良いです。
I agree. And mostly I think the new stuff is fantastic, especially your most recent game, Super Mario Maker.
あなたのアイデアはポケットモンスターやゼルダメーカーであれば我々はすでにそのことを考えてきました。
No, it's not that. At least not entirely. Pokemon in particular, as I'm sure you know, has become one of the most successful game franchises of all time. Yet, in the past 2 recent installments, despite more advancements than ever being made, enthusiasm has tapered off. I feel the reason for this is Pokemon's inability to engage veterans in repeat playthroughs. As much replay value is accrued by the diversity of parties in a game is lost by the simple fact that no matter how many times you play Pokemon Green, Oak will always offer you 1 of 3 of the same starter, Brock will always be the first gym leader, Giovanni will always lead Team Rocket in 3 encounters, all the towns and cities will always be there, and the game will always end with a battle against champion rival. Up till now, 90% of the dev team's energy and time has been put into finding a way to add more monsters and more monsters that evolve in more ways. What I'm proposing is we make a world of Pokemon that evolves as much as the creatures it was made for.
我々はこれをどのように行うのでしょうか。
By allowing the trainer to influence the world around them, and even to trade their changed worlds with one another.
あなたは悲しい。これはマリオメーカーゲームではありませんでした。どのように愚かなあなたは私たちがしていると思いま
I
すか。
assure you that this is not another Mario Maker. In fact, it's quite different from it.
どのようにこのゲームはマリオメーカーは異なるのですか。
Mario Maker is based on total external influence, where the player decides exactly what they will face before playing the game. This game is designed around partial internal influence, meaning that the player affects the world they play in as they play the game. Actually, a bit more like Animal Crossing than Mario Maker in that regard.
私たちはこのゲームを呼ぶのだろうか。
Does that mean?
まだ我々はしかしより多くのを聞くことに興味があります。
Fair enough. These 2 Pokemon games, keeping with the time-honored tradition, would be called Palette and Slate.
私はこれまでそれが好きです。なぜあなたは松田さんに詳細を教えていないと。我々はボード上にまだいるならば、彼は私に報告します。 ポケモン X と Y のテーマは美しさでした。パレートとスレートは一般的なテーマを持っているのだろうか。
This game would have two themes, in fact, similar but different. Change and evolution.
どのようにこれらのテーマはゲームプレイ中に利用されていますか？
Well, now that you mention it, firstly is the ability to rebirth or reincarnate the world that you play in. Whenever you're finished playing as a certain trainer on a file, instead of simply erasing the world, another option through the legendary Ho-Oh, a master of rebirth, will be presented to the player, where they can essentially retire their current trainer and have their footprint, their deeds that they had done throughout the region, remain. The player can either do this willingly or be oblivious to it, as new migrant Pokemon will be introduced to a region after every reincarnation cycle, regardless of what you do. But let's say you are one of the gifted few who is aware of it, one of the veterans of the game. Let's just keep this in Kanto for simplicity's sake. You like the Kanto region, but you're not very fond of how few ice types there are. And more importantly, how few ice types that aren't also water type. Not that that's a particularly bad typing, as it nullifies the weakness to fire, and also gives you an edge against the weakness to... I'm rambling. So let's say a friend trades you a Weavile and an Abomasnow that you can then use to release. That's right, releasing for the very first time will play an important role in how the game world shape takes form. Release Sneasel and Snover into Route 1, which was once dominated by Rattata and Pidgey. Whenever the vie for dominance begins, the ice-type advantage of Sneasel will all but wipe out the Pidgey. Maybe even completely wipe them out. If they spread far enough, it is possible in this game for a species of Pokemon to go completely extinct. At least in that region. So you can essentially mold it how you see fit upon the reincarnation cycle, the Sacred Fire, Sacred Ash cycle. You'll be able to see not only these Pokemon appearing in the routes that you introduce them, and possibly more if they've spread further, but you'll be able to see the very region be reborn. The next important change to the evolution of the game is the ability for trainers to be more significant than ball-hucking Poke-tamers. Where for the very first time, instead of simply being Pokemon Trainer Red or Pokemon Trainer Chrysanthemum, you might have a problem if you came up with that name, you'll be given a trainer class based off of the region, the town you choose to start in. That trainer class will come with perks, such as being able to use certain HMs without needing Pokemon that can use them, which is something else that will be wiped out completely from this game. You will no longer have to teach Pokemon HM moves, because for the very first time, the Pokemon game will be fully free roaming. If you want to start your adventure in Cinnabar, catch a water type so you can surf, and then travel to Fuchsia next, you can do it. And as you do it and shape the world around you, what you'll be unknowingly doing is creating a different living, breathing world. Speaking of trainer classes, rivals will also see a drastic change. Instead of being assigned between 1 and however many in X and Y rivals at the beginning of a game, you will encounter them and become rivals naturally as you grind against basic trainers in the field.
This is going to be one of the most complex systems of the game, in the sense that if a rival is the opposite gender, you can potentially foster a relationship with that person. And rivals won't simply be limited to trainers on the field. You'll also be able to become rivals with gym leaders and even Elite Four members if you beat them enough. Essentially, beating a trainer enough times, let's say 5, will give you the ability to evolve them in your rival merit, similar to the way that Shadows of Mordor functioned, where they'll start to take notice of you and you'll start to encounter them places that they shouldn't be. From rivalhood to friendship to love. And when you rebirth the region, you can even be the child of either a couple of rivals that you've made or of your trainer and a rival, having a dedicated mother and father for the very first time ever. Or I guess the second if you count Norman in Gen 3, but I don't. Next would be the gangs. I know what you're saying. Story is going to take a back seat. So what about Team Rocket? What about Team Plasma, Team Flare, Team Galactic, Team Magma and Aqua? I just remembered them all and I'm proud of myself. Don't take that away from me. Don't steal my dream, Internet. They'll still be there. And they'll play a very prominent role in terraforming your region. Let's say you're like me and you really like Kanto, but you don't really care for Celadon. Think it's kind of an eyesore. You can hire one of the gangs and they will essentially wipe Celadon off the map in their own unique way. Team Rocket stealing all the Pokemon and essentially destroying the area, making it into just another ruins where only ghost type and rock type monsters can appear. Team Plasma, who will steal and release all the Pokemon belong to people in Celadon. Re-environment, basically turning the town into an extended route or a hotspot. And so on and so forth. So I know what you're thinking, right? Well, what about the gym in Celadon? What about the grass gym, the rainbow badge? That's where the trainer comes in. If you employ one of the syndicates, you will be able to unlock the class Boss. Boss Giovanni, Boss... I can't remember any of the others. That's embarrassing. Boss Cyrus, I think, is one of them. And when you gain that, you'll be able to make a rocket-sponsored town capable of hosting all of the structures you removed against any flat wall in the region, including inside of caves and on water routes. This will essentially allow you to alter the physical layout of a region to better suit you or to worse suit a new trainer. But if you thought that there would be no new evolution in the game at all, in a game themed around change and evolution, you'd be very sadly mistaken, because there is a new, very, very innovative, at least I think, method of evolution included in this game. Once you've encountered at least a third of a region's Pokemon, that's 50, you'll be able to see the professor of that region, and they will give you a Pokedex and also tell you about type stones. If you bring said professor a water stone, leaf stone, thunderstone, or firestone, they will be able to essentially bleach it into a colorless stone. Once the stone is colorless, simply have a Pokemon in your party hold it and begin a battle. The first move that your Pokemon uses will regardless of whether it does damage or even hits, will transfer the type of said move into the stone. That stone can then be used on any Pokemon in the game besides a legendary to permanently affix said type to them. If the Pokemon has two types by default, one type in the game's code will be determined as primary and the other as secondary. The secondary type will be cut and replaced. For example, with Oddish, the secondary type would naturally be poison. It would stop being a poisonous plant before it would stop being a plant. If the Pokemon gains a type, that new type will always be considered secondary, even for Pokemon that look very much like the new type. For example, Butterfree. You'll be able to do this to use this to create not only a region that you want, but a team that you want. An evolution stone that can evolve any Pokemon without adding an extra stage to their evolutionary climb, that will give them the blessings of that type. For example, let's say you really like Caterpie, but Caterpie's really weak. But you really like it, and it's really common, and you also really like dragon types. Take a colorless stone, infuse it to become a dragon type stone, and use it on a Caterpie. That Caterpie will now be part dragon. Its stats will be augmented so that it is more draconic. And, well, it'll learn dragon type moves alongside its bug ones. If you keep it long enough to learn a bug bite, it will also try to learn dragon tail at the same time, a similarly powered dragon type move. And it'll continue to do that as it evolves into a Metapod and then Butterfree. So, I know that we would be sacrificing story, but I think that with this model, we would be gaining so much longevity. Maybe even enough that the game would be remade or re-released for a future console, as well as the current console. You could always use downloadable content to add to the game so that people could get newer Pokemon from the main series, which would not be killed by this game, is another great beauty of it, to the game. Let's say a new Pokemon is released that's a mosquito Pokemon, something that doesn't exist. We'll call it Bloodbite. Then the DLC for the new Pokemon comes out, and all of a sudden Bloodbite is available to be transferred or traded to your regions. So, are you in?
多分